Bezat Hashem, we're back at the limud of Toratena Kedusha, Halachot Shabbat Siman Reish Nun. B'siyata Deshmaya, we are on Tu B'Shvat, the 15th of Shvat, davening today, Bezat Hashem, wholeheartedly for the whole world to have beautiful, delicious fruits, juicy, meaty, and all the vitamins that need to be observed by us, Bezat Hashem. Hashem should give it all. This is what we're praying, davening today too. Today is Friday, also Thursday, happened to be the 5th day of the week of Parashat Shabbat Yitro. We're back over here discussing the prohibition of, preparations leading to Shabbat and the things that are forbidden to be done on Friday, right before Shabbat. So that's the Siman 251. We already started, so now we're in the middle of Sif Katan Bet of Mishnah Berurah. Siman Bracha. So we said like this: a person, halachically, it's not prohibited, meaning a person will not get punished, or we cannot force a person to stop, but as we said already, to perform working before 2.5 hours before Shabbat, before approximately 2.5 hours before candlelighting. That we cannot force. But the question is, the halacha says from Mishnah Berurah, Shulchan Aruch told us, if a person is working at that time, he will not see a blessing from that time, from the money that he earns at that special time. So now, let's see, Siman Bracha, there will not be Siman Bracha. Says Mishnah Berurah, what does that mean? What does that mean, this blessing? And what are we talking about? So Mishnah Berurah says, Me'ota melacha, that specific project that a person was busy at that moment. Oh, there's Zohar is calling in. So, let me merge it. Hold on a second, gentlemen. Answer and merge. Okay, everybody is on the line? Everybody's on the phone? Okay. So here we are, continuing Bezat Hashem. The element was Moshe. What is this? Moshe, you there?
I'm here, I'm
Oh.
put you on mute because I'm doing things at the same time.
No, it's fine. No, I just want to make sure that I didn't press the wrong button. That's all.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No, Ellen is with you, but the problem is if I press the wrong light. Oh. Okay. So I have Zohar also join us. So here we continue. Siman bracha me'ota malacha. So a person will not have a bracha, a blessing from that he did right before Shabbat, after the advice of the Chachamim not to work, not to perform any work from Mincha Ktana, which is 2.5 hours before, approximately before sunset. Wow. What does that mean? There is no blessing from that money. It means like this, gentlemen, don't get scared. Don't get scared. We said there are allowances, but maybe not. But the rabbi says over here clearly, if he earned $1,000 from that specific work that he labored, he will lose that $1,000 somewhere else. Chas v'shalom. That's what Mishnah Berurah is saying to us, and that's what many rabbis say, that he thinks he earning in the end he will be cut. There will be all of a sudden a window, the windshield breaks on the car, that damages, this damages. All of a sudden he has to go to a hospital, a broken finger or something. There's always going to be something that Hashem will utilize to take away that money. Again, this is what the Chazal tell us. Okay, Mincha Gdola. Oh, so now we're coming to the element. Some say it actually means from Chatzot, half hour after Chatzot, and on Friday, if you're sitting half hour after midday, halachic midday, obviously, we're not talking about 12 p.m., we're talking about, depends on the time, when the midday, Chatzot of the Jewish time, the Torah time. So here we have Machloket. So Shulchan Aruch told us it's either Mincha Gdola or Mincha Ktana. So Mishnah Berurah is now going to discuss what does that mean, Mincha Gdola. Hainu b'shesh u'machetze, meaning after 6.5 hours of the day. U'mincha Ktana hainu tesh u'machetze. And the Mincha Ktana starts 9.5 hours. V'asomech ala mekelin lo yifsik. However, says over here, there are lenient opinions who hold you're not allowed to perform any task, any work after 9.5 hours, right? Not 6.5 hours of the day. And whoever follows the lenient opinion after he's allowing himself to work those 3 additional hours, he says there is no loss at all for that person. Meaning there is no siman bracha. Whatever, you earn the $10,000, it's yours. You're going to keep it. There's nothing going to happen to take that away from you. However, everybody agrees that after 9.5 hours of the day, there, if you schedule to work as a regular business and you make money out of your handiwork we're talking about, there you will not see a bracha at all, and that's going to actually cause harm as we just said. The shaot hands maniyot, you have to understand, it's not talking about 12 noon, it's not talking about 3:30 in the afternoon, it's talking about shaot zmaniyot, specifically Torah times. V'chol ze be'oseh melechet atzmo. This is what we're talking about, performing a job for himself. But let's talk about now, says Mishnah Berurah, where till now we spoke about he's the owner, he's the self-entrepreneur, he works for himself. But what about a shoemaker or a barber who works for a company, okay, or somebody else? Ita bechoshen mishpat. So we have to go into halachot of labor, Shulchan Aruch, Choshen Mishpat, Siman 331. Dizmano samuch l'shkiyat hachama. Wow. Over there, Shulchan Aruch says, since you're an employee, hourly or job employee, there you have to work even close to sunset, you're allowed. ורק כדי שילך לביתו למלות לו חבית מים ולצלות לו דג קטן ולהדליק לו את הנר. As long as he has enough time to go home to fill up, in olden days, how long does it take to fill up a bucket of water? And ולצלות, and to roast fish, small fish, and to light a candle. So that's approximately, we're talking about 15 minutes, 20 minutes before sunset. That's more than enough. To fry, to roast fish, it's about 5 minutes each side, right? Fish is the most easiest, especially small fish. It's the most easiest thing and fastest thing to cook today is the fish, out of the protein. Meat takes longer, chicken takes even longer. The fish is the fastest. So the halacha requires, as long as he has time to prepare something for Shabbat, why does he need water to take a bath? So how long does it take to fill up water for a bath? That's the time. And to grill a little fish. And light a candle for Shabbat. That, an employee who works for somebody, this is his time, which means right a little bit before Shkiyat HaChama, before sunset. However, here Mishnah Berurah establishes a new thing to us. He's introducing to us that if the place where the residents of that city or town, they're all take off like the mincha ktana, the 9.5 hours a day, he cannot, he cannot be imposed as an employee now by the employer to tell him to work later. But if everybody is working normally, an employee cannot come to the employer and say, I need time off before Shabbat. This is what it means. No, maybe I was doing an avirah. I got a lot of phone calls. I got a lot of phone calls. People from all over, especially in New York, calling me up. Rabbi, I need a letter. Why? Short Fridays, I need to take off 2.5 hours. I want to fill out. I want to do mincha gdola. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I was doing wrong. But Mistama over here, Dina de Malchut Dina Goy is more respectful of Jewish laws, unfortunately, more than some Jewish companies. Because Jewish companies know the halacha. The Goy is not going to say no because of religious beliefs, so they got religious discrimination. And you're a good worker anyway, you're doing the job. And if you need to take off 1 o'clock, most, by the way, maybe it's a custom, even in the Jewish companies in New York, 1 p.m. everybody's off on Friday. Or short Friday or long Friday, doesn't matter. 1 p.m. everybody gets off on Friday, go prepare for Shabbat. That is a good thing. So maybe I didn't do Avirah, where I was writing letters for the Goyish companies or the government. Some people work for government. They asked me to write them a letter, so I write them a letter. Listen, this is the halacha, this is what the person wants. I guess it's a personal belief. But the question is here, what is the common practice? So I guess in New York, amongst even Jewish companies, for sure in the yeshivot, by 12:30, 1 o'clock, the latest, everybody's out. For sure, by the Jewish companies, maybe they have leeways. But again, it's all going to depend on the minhag hamakom. Here's the Mishnah Berurah says there is also minhag hamakom is kovea. So on Friday, if you have employees and everybody usually is off by 1 o'clock, you cannot insist them to work for you till 4:30, but the candle lighting is 5:20 or 5:30 even. You can't insist for them to work later, because if that's the custom, that's the custom. Okay. So over there, look at Magen Abraham, and there's obviously we'll learn later on what is mean Tosefet Shabbat, how important it is to declare Shabbat earlier, and how much blessing there is when the person gains out of it. You're only standing to gain. Derech Harai. So Rema told us that this Isur, this problem with prohibition, not Isur, even though it is a machloket Isur, some say it is Isur to work up to 9.5 hours, some say it's a minhag. So, okay, let's learn. Shulchan Aruch did not say it's Isur, like Zohar yesterday pointed out nicely. So that you're not allowed to perform work tasks for 9.5 hours, this is, we spoke about, Rama said, if you're doing it constantly, continually. But if you're going to do it once in a while, like something came up, so that's what Rama said, that's allowed. Hainu afilu b'sachar. So Rama, the Mishnah Berurah explains on that Sif Katan Dalet, on that Rama, what did Rama say if something just came up? You might think for free. No, if something came up, even you're making money, like we said yesterday, Donald Trump told you to, he needs you to fix his computer. He's fix his computer. Oh, here's a normal handiwork that people do, and those are everybody busy with. Fixing cell phones is a big business today, right? So those are all handiwork that people actually do, like fixing shoes. So if a person takes off 2.5 hours before Shabbat, like Moshe said yesterday, what about his employee? So again, his employee could work, especially if we see over here, even if it's just a Jew, what is the common practice in the neighborhood? That's another rule that we have to take into consideration. So before I could answer Moshe, we have to figure out what's the established here in Florida. What is the established custom? Do people take off by Mincha Gdolah from work, the employees, or they do Mincha Ktana, 2.5 hours? I would assume that it's Mincha Ktana. Unfortunately, I see it even when I do children's program. A lot of people that I approach here in our community in Maple Ridge, I say to them, send your children at 4 o'clock. We're going to, B'ezrat Hashem, they're learning over here. They're reading Shnai Mikra, Baruch Hashem. It's a Hagana, it's a best way to protect the Jewish nation by having children, pronounce the Divrei Torah. So we give them ice cream, we give them whatever we give them. And many people answer me, Rabbi, what you talking about? My child is still in school at 4 o'clock. I never heard that, In New York, you'll never hear any school running after 1 o'clock. That was like unheard of, Jewish school. And here, the people going to Jewish schools I'm talking about, they're coming home 4 o'clock. So now they have to prepare for Shabbat and the whole thing. So you see so obviously, if his children are at 4 o'clock and still in school, then that means the people working there so late. So those laborers, can they insist and say one time, listen, Habibi, no more. I want to do Mincha Gdolah. I don't know if they're allowed to. Or I want to do even Mincha Ktana. We said not even Mincha Ktana. That if you're an employee, your business runs till 5 o'clock, and candle lighting is 5:20, which is, let's say, 5:15. That's the earliest that comes here in Florida. So 5:15, that means 5:32 is sunset. So halachically, if he gets home 5 o'clock, that shouldn't be a problem, according to Mishnah Berurah's explanation here, because he's an employee of somebody. But again, so we have to take into consideration what is the custom, and obviously a boss should be more lenient with his workers. It's only a blessing now that the more you prepare for Shabbat. Today, unfortunately, Baruch Hashem, we're not, fortunately and unfortunately, we're not, I don't think many people are satisfied with eating just a little piece of fish on Friday night. We want to have Shabbat, b'kedusha, b'torah, with a lot of food, as we learn in Zohar. It's a big thing to prepare and make it a big deal out of Shabbat Seudot. Not just, to be Yotzeh and bye-bye. You have to make a big deal, because that's how your whole blessing throughout the whole week. So again, it's maybe kedai to tell the owners of the businesses that kedai to let let the people prepare for Shabbat properly. Some will tell, well, some will answer, go prepare yesterday. I've seen a lot of people answer like that. So you have Thursday, go prepare on Thursday. Why you have to prepare now? Okay. With that said, Zar, you have a book with you or no? Hello? Zor, you have the Mishnah Berurah with you? No. Okay, gentlemen, I'll read Siman Bet. Siv Bet. The second halacha over here, things that are prohibited to be done on Friday before Shabbat. So the Shulchan Aruch says like this. Letaken begadav v'kelav letzorach Shabbat mutar kol hayom. A person who wants to sew a button that fell off his pants, or there's a pants that ripped, or a skirt got ruined. So a person who wants to sew it and fix it, or let's say a dish. There, pots that used to be made out of metal, not cast iron, metal that you could bend, so it got out of whack. If you want to fix it on Friday before Shabbat, that you could do the whole day if you're going to need it for Shabbat. Mutar kol hayom. Haga, והוא הדין בגדי חברו אם הוא לצורך שבת ואין הוא נוטל עליו שכר. So let's say you're a tailor, not even a tailor. You know how to sew, and your neighbor Rahman al-Islam doesn't know how to sew. They come to you and they ask you, right? You're not doing it for a job. You're doing it as a favor. They need the clothing on Shabbat. So it says over here, yes, you're allowed to, says Rama, to sew for them for the need of Shabbat. Prepare for what's his name? Okay. Now, let's continue. Says the Rama, ומסתפרין כל היום, אפילו מספר ישראל. Here, Rama is gonna give me over the head. He's gonna say, what about haircuts? He says, since the haircut is for Shabbat, we're learning now. Since we are taking a haircut for Shabbat, says the Rama, yes, you could take a haircut the whole day and even go to a Jewish barber. Here, I was knocking down the barbers. Here he tells us clearly, Rama says clearly, yes, you could actually go to a barber before Shabbat anytime, the whole day, in order to, what's his name? To be honoring Shabbat. ויש לאדם למעט קצת בלימודו בערב שבת. Even more than that, which is very, very, we see over here, Rama is going to say something that's very, very sensitive to people, to especially people who are learning in the yeshiva. He says you could actually, and you should, cut your time in learning a little bit, so you have time to prepare Shabbat. Even that much. We're talking about Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. Torah is the pinnacle of this world. Learning Torah is out of this world. But we tell the person, you know what, Habibi, Shabbat is coming, prepare for Shabbat, go, stop your learning, go prepare for Shabbat properly. Amazing, amazing, gentlemen. This is a Rama. Let's see what Mishnah Berurah explains this. Mishnah Berurah says in Seif Katan Bet, Ve'eno notel, right, he doesn't take any money. Where are you allowed to do this? We said, where are you allowed to sew your neighbor's clothing? When you don't take your money. However, if a person, when do we say that you're not prohibited to work 9.5 hours of the day, preferably not to work, and you don't see a blessing? That's what I'll say. Don't get confused. When I say the word over here, prohibited, it's going to mean that you're not going to see any blessing. But that's not asur. But whatever. When are you advised not to work? When it's all nice and dandy, but Hashem, you have a bank account, there's plenty of money in the bank account. Here, Mr. Berurah says, what about the person who, unfortunately, finally, he was waiting a whole week to get a sewing job, and he gets it 9.5 hours on Friday after the day starts? What should you do? The guy needs money. He needs to go buy wine and bread for Shabbat. He doesn't have. So he says, in that case, he will be allowed. As we learn later on in Siman 342. Le'inyan Chol HaMoed, in reference to where we discuss over there Chol HaMoed. Chol HaMoed is the days between Yom Tov. We have Chol HaMoed, that it's like a day, that's a regular day, but it's like a holiday where we don't put on tefillin. There's a lot of things, restrictions, and also one of the things that we don't do is labor. We don't do any work. But over there, everybody agreed that if a person is poor and he needs money, he's allowed. Same thing here. והוא הדין כל המלאכות המותרות בערב פסח ובכל המועד מותרות בערב שבת האחרונים. So in reference to that, and that's the same scenario, all types of work will be allowed for this individual who requires it. That it's allowed before Pesach and before Chol HaMoed, Mutarot be'erev Shabbat will be allowed before Shabbat. Va'afilu yesh lo lechem. However, what about the guy who has bread and just bread? No, even there, הוא רק הוא צריך לצורכי שבת לעונגו בבשר ודגים ומשקים טובים. The person who wants to make his Shabbat elevation experience better, to fulfill the Zohar's interpretation of preparation meals for Shabbat. It's not just bread and a little bit fish. It's a lot of good goodies. גם כן יש לומר דשארי. We're going to say also is allowed. We're not going to say to the guy, okay, just eat a little bit bread, a little drink water, and here's a little bit fish. No, mister. For Shabbat, you go all out. אבל בלאו הכי יש להיזהר בזה מאוד. But the problem is, what's the Mishnah Berurah says? We are creatures of nature, and we could get carried away here. So he says, in order not to get carried away, be very cautious in that time. כי משמע מכמה פוסקים דמלבד דאין רואה סימן ברכה, יש חשש איסור בזה פרי מגדים, because we already pointed out that it's not just not allowed, or not he doesn't see a blessing from this money. There are actually many Rabbanim who say it's prohibited to work 9.5 hours. Okay, the halacha is not like them. But here you are, you're going to go all out and you're going to start working because you need money. You're going to get all the excuses in the world. Especially today, everybody will tell me, Rabbi, the mortgage is $6,000 a month. Rent is $5,000. What do you want me to do? Right? Still, the person should be, everything should be done accordingly and according to schedule and with proper intentions and proper process without going overboard. Okay. So, סעיף קטן ו' ולכתוב לחברו בשכר. One second. לכתוב לחברו בשכר ומסתפרים כל היום. אסור לכתוב. So Rama said, I don't know, some reason I skipped it. Rama said over here, you're not allowed to be a writer. You're not allowed to write Sefer Torah for money, which you charge money for tefillin, mezuzah. That is prohibited. Okay, what does that mean? לכן יזהר גם כן הכותב סתם שלא יכתוב בשכר, אם לא שהוא צריך עתה למזוזה או ספר תורה או תפילין או שהוא דחוק לצורכי שבת. Again, same scenario. If he's writing Sefer Torah, mamash, he wants to finish up the last line so he could use this Sefer Torah for this Shabbat morning, no problem, he's allowed to. He needs a tefillin, mezuzah, he needs it mamash right now. Or a person is a poor sofer. Sofer is not blessed with money, and he needs the money to do sustenance. That will be allowed, as we said before. Sapar Israel, you're allowed to take a haircut from a Jew on Friday. היינו אפילו אם הספר נוטל שכר, even for the money, והטעם נראה לכל שעושה מסתפר לצורך שבת ולכן שרי. Since the barber has to have in mind, I'm doing it for the needs of Shabbat, to make a person beautiful for Shabbat. There it's allowed. ולדמה לתיקון בגדים שאסור בנטילת שכר. So says the rabbi, how come it's not similar where we just told you if you want to fix clothing, there you're not allowed to charge money, the alterer, but over here, why is that different? The guy wants to sew clothing for Shabbat, also Lishvot Shabbat, so why can't he take money? The barber, yes, and the alterer, no. דהתם אין ניכר בפעולה שהוא לצורך שבת, מה שאין כן בזה. Really, the alterations that you're altering clothing, really it's not visible to all that it's for Shabbat. It's true, it's not. Not everybody wears this clothing all the time, the clothing. Who says that they need this clothing for Shabbat, right? Because how did the guy come to the tailor? They came clothed, right? If you're clothed there, why you need all of a sudden clothing for Shabbat? So there will be, that's why the rabbis prohibit it. But barber, for sure, everybody sees you doing it. There's only one reason you're doing it. Chas v'shalom, you're not a playboy. You're gonna go around with playing. You want to show off in front of girls. No, you're doing it for Shabbat. There's no question about it. Therefore, it's allowed. ועל כן נדמה שנתנגד מלגלח לעינו יהודי. However, listen to this story. You guys ready for a punchline? A barber should be careful not to give a haircut after 9.5 hours for a goy. Unless, I would interject here, I would be a little bit not happy with Mishnah Berurah here. Maybe he'll agree with me since we live amongst the goyim, and that's going to cause friction. A goy will come in and see all those Jews waiting, and you tell the goy, sorry, we're not taking haircuts anymore. What do you mean? right? Or he's sitting in the car and he's watching Jews who are coming in and he was told no. Rahman al-Islam, I highly doubt that after Shabbat this barber shop is going to be standing in one piece. Why should we make them angry? So I would actually interject my opinion here, that yes, give him a haircut even before Shabbat, even 5 minutes, if you're going to finish 5 minutes before you close the shop. Even after 9.5 hours. Okay. So here, כתב המגד אברהם שהאריזל היה נזהר שלא לגלח אחר מנחה אפילו בערב שבת. However, Arizal was very cautious, it says over there, that he would not take a haircut after 6.5 hours of Friday. וביארו כוונתו דמה שכתב אחר מנחה, היינו אחר שהגיע זמן מנחה. Okay, over here it means that once the mincha came, the time of mincha is usually 12.5 hours after the day, after Chatzot, half hour after Chatzot. So that's it, it's mincha time. So Arizal said, don't take any haircuts. אבל לא מהערב שיתפלל מנחה. It doesn't matter if you daven mincha or not. והיינו דקאמר אפילו בערב שבת, especially on Friday. דרצונו לומר לה מבעיה בכל קודם שיתפלל מנחה, אלא אפילו לצורך שבת שהוא מצווה גם כן לא היה מגלח אחר שהגיע זמן מנחה ולא יתפלל. So Arizal says that even on Friday where you would do it for Shabbat, he would not make sure to take haircuts way before and not wait till that time. ולא יתפלל. And the question is, because we already said that if you remember Rab Zohar in the Hot Mincha, I'm sure a person should not take a haircut because of all these problems that could come over here. So let's see what Mishnah Ish Mazliach adds to this. So Ish Mazliach says in reference to the reason that you didn't daven yet. If you davened Mincha, maybe you should take a haircut. What do you want to say, Zohar? Or who's talking?
No, nothing.
Somebody took off the mute. Okay, next. שמעתי מאירים שטעמו של האריזל, לפי שאחר הצות הוא זמן דין כידוע. So what's the reason why after midday, after Chatzot, the Arizal would not take a haircut until if it's a regular day, until he prays, he would not take a haircut, right? But why wouldn't he? He says that there is Inyan, according to Kabbalah, that the time after Chatzot and during the day, there is some dinim in this world. ואפילו התעורר מנחה גם כן לא היה מסתפר, that on Friday, even if he prayed mincha, on Friday he would not pray, he would not take a haircut after mincha. So on the regular day before mincha, he would not take it until he would have a mincha. Then he would take a haircut on Friday, on the regular days, weekdays. But on Friday it would be a problem. He would not even after prayer. ועיין בכף החיים, so כף החיים wrote down, וצריך לראות בשאר המצוות במקומו, ושוב, ראיתי במעשף החדש, שהעריך הרב העורך רבי עזרא בצבצרי להצדיק הכנה במשנה ברורה, עיין שם ברוך ועיין עוד בשו"ת יחווה דעת. Again, all this is very nice and dandy, but Shulchan Aruch says we're allowed to. Here Ramai agrees with him, and he brings actually Beit Yosef. Shulchan Aruch also agrees with haircut you're allowed to do before Shabbat, mamash right up to Shabbat. If you're doing it l'chvot Shabbat Kodesh, not a problem. Let's continue Mishnah Berurah. בעולם שאינם נזהרים בזה אפילו אחר שהגיע זמן מנחה קטנה. People are not worried. People take haircuts. Listen, sometimes it's very hard to get an appointment to a barber. So sometimes we do it even after 9.5 hours of the day. יש לומר דכיוון שקוראים לבית הכנסת לך הישנת שיעבור על ידי זה זמן התפילה. And again, because remember the barber, Baruch Hashem, today barbers are they have a lot of heterim, especially most barbers are in groups. There's 4 or 5 barbers there. There was always many scissors. One of the biggest problems was that the scissors would break. There will be hard time to find scissors, and the person will not go to shul because he's going to be embarrassed and all these things, right? Because he's halfway cut and the scissors would break. But today, Baruch Hashem, there's not an issue like that. It doesn't exist. Therefore, there's a lot of allowance. So, says, let's just do 2 more. We have few more lines and we're done. For today, says Sif Katan Chet, ויש לאדם למעט קצת בלימודו, the most important thing, we tell a person to stop learning for preparation of Shabbat. ולכן אין קובעים ישיבה באיזה מקומות בערב שבת. Therefore, there are some places they don't have learning on Friday. ובספר סדר היום כתב דאם רגיל ללמוד דבר שיש לו קצבה, או שלומד עם רבים, אל יבטלנו. But if you're learning, if there's a regular class every day on Fridays, you should not cancel it. But some places, but most yeshivot today learning till 12 o'clock. Batei Midrashim, Kolelim, they're learning till 12, 12:30. ופירוש רש"י על הסדרן, כמקרה דבר שיש לו קצבה, ועל כן לא גזרין את שמא יימשך עד הלילה. Again, what were we concerned? We were always concerned that the person will be busy in learning, he will forget to go to prepare for Shabbat. But here, since today we have Baruch Hashem, it's a very much Baruch Hashem, we're in a Jewish community, so there should be no concern that the person will not interrupt his learning to go prepare for Shabbat. Again, the person knows himself. If he starts learning, he doesn't stop for 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 hours, then we have a problem. There he would ask his Chacham, and he will tell him that Shabbat preparations are important. ואם לא ימצא אחר כך לקנות איזה לא יקבע הלימוד בבוקר. We said already, if you remember, right now I'm doing this, right? So my daughter is preparing halot for Shabbat. We're selling halot for Shabbat, so I drive around. I go from one shul to the next shul. Question is, before davening, can I do business? And we said, listen, by me it's twofold. If I don't sell in the shuls, then I don't sell, right? So I go before, like right now, this week I'm going to go to Rabbi Buton's shul before Shacharit. I'll come there earlier, try to sell a few loaves, and then after Shacharit I have to run to Bnei Sfaradim, again, to make sure that if there is no food, there you're allowed to do it. If the person starts learning Torah, he's not going to have time to buy food because all the food is going to finish in the market. Then in that case, he would be allowed not to start learning at all until he does all the preparations for Shabbat. Again, it's all preparation. However, if a person has a wife, or children in the family, people that help, or servants, in that case, he could do all the learning he needs on Friday without a problem. Especially if you prepare on Thursday. However, a Talmid Chacham, we already said before, and we enumerated all different rabbis would prepare certain things for Shabbat. Every individual have a share in preparations for Shabbat. Bezat Hashem, we're going to stop over here. B'Siyata Deshmaya, we will continue. Hopefully tomorrow we'll start a new Siman 252. Din Melachot HaMutarot VeHaAsurot Le'atchil Be'erev Shabbat Kidei Shiyu Nigmarim B'Shabbat. So we'll discuss things that you're allowed to start, or you maybe will be prohibited to start if you're going to continue working and laboring it right coming to Shabbat. Bezat Hashem. Those that need to go to work, go make parnasa, benashcha, b'shalva, b'simcha. Should have no problem. You should make a lot of money without any pain or agony, only in good health. Have a wonderful day, guys.